Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, we are live. Mic is hot. Yeah, I'm aware. That was the point. Hello, hello. Let's get some light up in here with our regular frame rate drops, either due to OBS or to Threadripper. No one knows. Hello, hello. Sounding good. All right. Just for full disclosure, since I said it in the last video and everyone still asked, I am a little bit under the weather, still sick, so I'm going to sound a little nasally. That's not the microphone, it's just me. I sound a little weird right now. Also, I did fix the eye autofocus for my camera. It's a long story involving incompatibilities with the Ninja Inferno, but it works fine with the Ninja V and all sorts of weird stuff. And hopefully just chatting is working. Although it does that stupid refresh every time I open it, so let me disable refresh browser scene and we should be good on that front. Okay, all right, welcome to, I forgot to even show it on screen, AFK Chat. Not that this particular visual matters at all. Let me turn down the music. Hello, welcome. Why does that, whatever. I don't like how graphics are handled here. I'm gonna have to work out other solutions, but hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to AFK Chat for Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. Isotope anti-sick is the solution for sounding sick. Yes. All right, so today we are doing something a little different. Mainly because I have been sick and I'm scrambling to keep my schedule afloat on top of other things, and also just because it's been on my list to do for this show anyway. We are taking a look at this. This is the Retron Square, which is effectively a little Game Boy / Game Boy Advance, although that's in beta, emulator box. And we're going to discuss it conceptually versus some of the other options available. So I have talked about a couple different solutions for streaming Game Boys on my channel before. And in fact, I'm gonna, let me pull up GBA Consolizer. So previously, I don't actually have a scene for this, do I? That's unfortunate, but I do have a split scene, so we can do that. Yeah. So previously I made a video on this guy right here. This is the Game Boy Advance Consolizer. I, of course, started with a clip of me opening my first Game Boy Color as a kid, but oh, if my B-roll ever shows up. Where's my B-roll? Whatever. Yeah, this little doohickey right here is the Game Boy Advance Consolizer, and it takes the motherboard and stuff from a Game Boy Advance and turns it into a home console. It's a really cool project, but you either have to solder it yourself or pay $300-something to get the unit. Now, we will be covering this again this year because there's a cool one being sent my way that I'm super stoked to talk about, but it's not the most family-friendly, like, hey, I just want to play Game Boy. Now, of course, as another option, you do still have the what's it called? The GameCube with the Game Boy Advance interface, and then you have custom software for that as well. If you don't use the official one, custom software gets you a little bit better results, and you can do lots of cool stuff from there. But again, that requires having and maintaining a GameCube. It requires running Homebrew on your GameCube if you want the good results, and it requires a lot of other stuff. Well, in my journey to cover a couple future-looking things, including what was mentioned in the chat, which was the Analog Pocket, I want to go ahead and test this out so we can throw it in our comparisons. This is available for under $100. It's like $79, I think, when I ordered this one. I got the nice pink and blue one that matches the channel theme, matches my hair theme here. And I want to check it out and see how it compares. And of course, you can run software emulators as well, but this is built for the person who wants to run, you know, Game Boy games, you know, who has an older collection of Game Boy games or what have you, or can pick them up cheap used and play them on your TV without finding and maintaining a freaking GameCube or building your own Raspberry Pi emulator or whatever. And so I do want to go ahead and lead with that because I think so many people are just going to immediately be like, well, you should use GBI. There's no excuse not to, or blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, your average user doesn't want that. Your average gamer who's just like, hey, remember Pokemon on the Game Boy? They're either going to play in a software emulator, which is fine, or they're going to want something like this, which is simple and easy. So that's what we're going to take a look at in today's AFK Chat. If you're not aware what AFK Chat is, this is a live show I run every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, both on YouTube and over on Amazon. There's a link to the Amazon stream in the description below. Would be really neat if you went and followed me there. It helps out a lot. And you can nickname yourself in the chat if you don't want your real name showing up. We've got people like Lee, and we've got, who else we've got in here? We've got Diego, who showed up in a stream that we raided yesterday on accident, things like that. We're going to be checking out this particular product today. I have links in the description below to the products that I am checking out. They, of course, are affiliate links, and I can highlight them in the Amazon carousel, which is pretty handy as well. So be sure to check that out. I also have down there the links to the gear that I'm using and the capture card I'm going to use for this and things like that. So this is, if we switch on over here, Stream Deck. This is, okay, so as an aside, since I am the streaming guy or what have you, and I like talking about this stuff, I really want the ability to just zoom in on a source in OBS. It blows my mind that this is not a thing yet, and apparently there's an open PR in the GitHub for the ability to use Control plus Zoom to zoom in on a source, but otherwise I have to manually do it like this, and this just seems really strange, that of a limitation. Something that is not the Woozle Consolizer, yes, because that thing is abhorrently expensive. Like, it's an incredibly cool project. It's an incredibly cool project, and I have my video on it from a couple years ago, and I'm going to make a new video on it soon, but most people are not going to pay for that, and I think that's important to note. All right, let's get this open and see what comes inside, because you may need to purchase a micro SD card with it. The firmware update page, which we'll talk about in a moment, says it comes with one, but I did not see it on the listing. And something that really bugs me right now, people are asking if I'm going to tear Hyperkin apart. I am not going to be nice about this with the mistakes that they do make, because I am not a huge fan of a lot of their products, and so the shortcomings and things I am going to be pretty, upfront and blunt about. But I'm also going to look at this fairly from the perspective of who it's actually meant for. But I'm also going to be fair about the things it does right. Something I wanted to point out is that it plays Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, and then it says Game Boy Advance in beta. Compatibility with Game Boy Advance cartridges is in beta function. Why did you go ahead and sell this if this is not at a complete state? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. That's a dumb way to go, okay? Just Hyperkin, just so you know, dumb way to go. Someone in the Amazon chat is asking, do you have a video on a YouTube for a stream DSLR cam that doesn't break the bank? Just real quick, I actually do. Sort of. I have some guidance for what to look at. If I pull this one up real quick. So generally just going through my channel history, you're going to find a lot of stuff like that. But if you want a couple specific recommendations, I do recommend this video about the Sony cameras, because you can get cheaper Sony mirrorless cameras, which are the way to go, and a few others here. So just search basically for camera on my channel and you'll find some good stuff. I do have quite a few videos for that. So getting into the unboxing here. Let's go. Got some high hopes for this thing. I don't know if high hopes are necessarily the appropriate way to go, given that it is Hyperkin. They don't exactly make great stuff, but they make cheap stuff, and that is the whole point of looking at them. I love the design on this. Right off the bat, the design on this is glorious. I think the square concept in general was a little strange and a little silly. I still kind of do, but it looks pretty neat. I love the translucent plastic going back to the 90s. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Rubberized feet on the bottom. Little vent for some reason. Game cartridge slot right up top. Power and reset buttons. Controller port, which is USB. And then we have HDMI out, which I believe is limited to a 720p HDMI, which is fine. A 4x3 to 16x9 switch, which is a little weird because Game Boy games didn't exactly run at those aspect ratios exactly. USB Type-C for power, and it does come with a memory card, so, which means it should have the firmware on it, because this is a device that only works with this micro SD card in here with firmware on it, because it needs the firmware to run, because it does run software emulators. They are open source options. This is just a generic 512 meg. We're actually going to pull this out. They license RetroArch and things like that. They talk about it here on their page. The open source resources, they've got open source licenses for LibRetro, RetroArch, and things like that. So it is just using software emulators, but it's on a dedicated box, which for, you know, someone like my parents who don't necessarily care about the Game Boy Advance necessarily, but for someone like my parents, if they wanted a retro console box, they would want something like this, not to figure out a software emulator, personally. So here we go, translucent plastic. I do wish more things came like that. We've got two other little boxes here, probably a power adapter and then the cables. Get this open here. Let me know how the music volume balance is, by the way. I know on the first episode of this I ran it a little too hot, so I'm trying to avoid that. Yeah, so this is USB cable and power brick. We're just going to throw this box aside. I always empty out these extra boxes and packaging and just keep the bigger box. Translucent plastic tends to be more brittle. It doesn't need to. Not at all. You think the Nintendo 64 was brittle? Come on, bro. Pop13 says it's the Game Boy Cube. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, so we get HDMI cable included, which is nice. So currently, it only supports Hyperkin's controllers. Now, granted, I haven't tried others, obviously, so theoretically it could work with others, but officially, it only supports their included controller, and then they have a couple other Bluetooth controllers and things like that that you can plug into it as well. This is obviously a Super Nintendo Dogbone style gamepad. Buttons aren't super clicky, but they feel about how my Super Nintendo controller would, honestly. Start and select feel mushy as hell, but that's normal. Gamepad feels nice and clicky. Shoulder buttons leave a little bit to be desired, but they're usable. It's not like you use them a ton in Game Boy games. And it is translucent again, so you get the PCB underneath, which is sick. Really, I thought the whole brittle thing was a problem in the 90s, but not now. I mean, the Nintendo 64, which is like the pinnacle of translucent game systems, is like a tank, my guy. Alright, so we got our HDMI cable, which is probably just going to be 10 gigabit per second or whatever, HDMI 1.4, since it's only a 720p signal, you're not getting a fancy new one. SNES controller is a wonderful controller for Game Boy games, by the way, so that's a good layout to have. Then you get a standard USB 2.0 Type-C to A cable for charging, or for power, rather, which is pretty nice. Isaac asks, is GoXLR still a must? I never considered it a must. There are plenty of other audio interfaces out there, but if you want the multiple audio tracks and stuff like that, you pretty much either have the GoXLR, the GoXLR Mini, you now have the live streamer Nexus from AverMedia, or you have the Elgato Wave as a dedicated microphone with those features built in. There are new options coming, but currently that's all you have. All right, so of course, those of you looking to connect for the first time, HDMI cable goes in the output slot, USB-C cable goes in the Type-C slot, your memory card goes in the memory card slot, and then you plug it all in the other end. For the capture card, for today, we are just using, assuming it works, still the Elgato HD60S Plus. It is a UVC capture card, which means it's plug and play, really easy to manage, and should handle 720p just fine. It'll also do 4K pass-through, but no 1440p or 144 hertz or anything like that. All right. I've got to turn off those sources from hiding themselves, because that's going to drive me nuts. Close file when inactive. Nope. All right. Translucent plastic is not more brittle, but rather more rigid. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So before we continue, we are updating the firmware, because the firmware that apparently ships with this thing is not good. It apparently does not play, hence the beta aspect. The firmware it ships with does not play Game Boy Advance games very well, or at a very high frame rate or anything like that. And they have released since then firmware that does the right thing. And so they released a 0-day, which was basically a launch day version 1.1 firmware patch. It comes with version 1.0 on the memory card, and then they also released a version 1.2, which improves the frame rate and aspect ratio for the Game Boy Advance games, which is what we want. So I originally was going with like a 32 gig micro SD card, but apparently this has not been fully jailbroken or anything yet for running ROMs on it. So I'm actually going to use the micro SD card they included here. And so this is the only thing that I don't like, is that you need this kind of manual firmware updating process here. Holy hell. That is a lot of partitions, and none of which are accessible in Windows, which is whatever, it's fine. You can apparently actually get into the partitions on Linux to try to jailbreak it for ROMs. One of the partitions works here, but that is fine. So L, M, N, P, and Q are the partitions for this SD card. Jesus Christ. So what you need to do is you click and you download a zip file for the firmware update, and you extract that. Then you download the USB image tool they have linked, and you extract that, and that gives you these files in a folder. Then you use the USB image tool. Again, this part specifically is not super, it's not super newbie friendly. And this tool is not, okay. And then you have to find your memory card, which doesn't entirely show up by drive letters, so that's not comforting. So I'm going to unplug my other SD card. That should be the only one left, I hope. Wow. Yeah, this is not something I would trust like newbies to really do without risking overwriting. So if you're uncomfortable, if you're not super tech savvy with this stuff, I would make sure you unplug all removable devices before you run this. All right, so this should be it. So we're gonna continue with this. How do we select our firmware? Restore? There we go. Then you choose your image file. So you click restore, choose your image file, click yes, and could not unlock the volume. The segment is already unlocked. I don't know what the hell that means. Cool, Retron. So you have devised a very terrible workflow for this. All right. So I'm going to say maybe don't use the included micro SD card. We're going to unplug that. We're going to continue with the one that I used before. Manual updating. Yeah. So theoretically, you could just run with it with the firmware that ships on it. I think it's unacceptable that they ship this thing with the beta firmware that isn't super user-friendly. All right. So we're going to reset this device, I guess. Reset. Could not access. Okay. Close that Explorer. Reset. Yes? Nope. Device mode. Yep. That's what we were doing. Alright, we'll just try straight restore. Image file. Yep. Nope. Handle's invalid. Awesome. This is going wonderfully, ladies and gentlemen. Oh dear. I can't believe this is how they're going to do it. All right, what if we go to volume mode? Volume mode does not even show anything. All right, so theoretically the instructions they provided that we showed should be all you need, but yeah, so I'm going to be honest right now. I'm going to say to Retron, you need to find a way to swap the firmware that ships on this thing. And I realize that they're all in Amazon's warehouse, but that's unacceptable, point one. Now, if you are a slightly tech-savvy person that's just looking for a solution and are fine messing with this, we're going to obviously proceed forward. But hot damn, this is not great. This is not where it's supposed to go. Have you tried reinstalling Windows? Yeah. All right, we're going to try running the program as admin, although it asks for administrator privileges first. Okay, it just popped up. You obviously can't see it. It just popped up the like autoplay menu for the SD card, so maybe it just was lagging behind somehow. So we're going to USB image tool. We're not going to try to reset it since that was being dumb. Restore. Choose our image file. Yes. There we go. So don't hit reset. Don't use the memory card that comes with it, apparently. You need at least a 512 meg memory card. So that's fine. Pop13 asks, just curious, will this work with a flash cart? We are going to test it. And here comes the movie style like pop-ups of all your file windows for all the partitions that don't work. I'm hacking the mainframe. All right. We should be good now. We're good to eject the drive. We're gonna pop it in and hope we have a firmware. So keep in mind, I will say, keep in mind for most people, if you're not playing Game Boy Advance games, you can actually just boot this straight from launch and be totally fine. You're just gonna have really crappy frame rate in Game Boy Advance games. Then you can delve into this. Personally, if it wasn't for the fact that this thing was so cheap and Hyperkin probably can't afford that, I would tell Hyperkin they need to offer an exchange service or to just mail out updated micro SD cards. Because people are going to have trouble, and it's probably tying up their support lines with however many people are using this thing, which may not be very many. But we're not evaluating it purely on the customer service experience. We are evaluating it based upon its playability for Game Boy Advance games. And for that, someone in chat, in the Amazon chat, was asking if it would work with flashcards. We have behind us here a stack of Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games right here. And we have a tote of Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance things and accessories, none of which will work because there's no accessories port on this thing, just to start out. But we also have the EverDrive GBX7 and GBA-X5 available that we will be trying as well to get our ROM fix on. So we'll be trying quite a few things here now that we got off to a false start and things seem to be running a little smoother now. I have to plug in the USB power under my desk so you can look at this real quick. Whee! Alright, it has power. Experiments with dumb tech, ladies and gentlemen. Does the original memory card have write protect on? The original memory card doesn't even have a locking lever for write protect. Actually, I don't think any micro SD card does. So, either way. All right, so we were plugged up here. We're plugged up here. We're gonna make a new scene with our capture card since I geniusly plugged it in after we started today's stream. So I'm gonna pop into studio mode here. We're gonna swoop HD 60S Plus. Add a new capture device. We're gonna power this on first and foremost. HD 60S Plus. All right. Let's see if our capture card shows up. It does. Device default is fine. Assuming we get a signal, which we're not. So the light is on the Retron. Hello, El Gato. What if we set to custom? I can't set it to 720p. Maybe this was not the right card choice. Deactivate, activate. We are getting nothing at all. Oh, yes we are. I lied. All right, awesome. Scale. By the way, if you are scaling retro games, the scale filter you want is area in OBS, not anything else, because area basically does nearest neighbor as close as possible and then smooth scaling down to the rest. So let's see what this looks like. I'm going to turn volume down on this in case it has loud volume. So this shows the firmware update and the boot screen, but probably not going to show anything else without a game in. So I'm guessing it would be most interesting to go ahead and knock out, will it work with a ROM card or a flash card? So we're going to turn off the power. I'm putting in the EverDrive GB, which acts as a Game Boy Basic or Game Boy Color cartridge, and we're booting it up again. See if we get anything on the screen. Hard to tell since it was stayed black for so long last time. Deactivate and activate the source. That did nothing. That AFK screen would look great with some Athenoscope highlights on it. Heck yeah. Alright. So we're not getting anything, but we also don't get like a power off animation or anything. I'm putting in a standard Game Boy Advance game. Let's see if we get anything. It may be the capture card that doesn't like it, in which case we will swap capture cards. No problem. Maybe you need more Chrome tabs open to get this to work. Ah! Alright, we're just not getting a signal at all through the capture card. We have a red flashing light, which I think means it's dumping the ROM card. So the way this works, unlike something like the GBA Consolizer, which is running real Game Boy hardware, or the Game Boy the Game Boy Player for the GameCube, which is run real gaming hardware, this dumps your game to a ROM and then plays that ROM in the emulator. Oh, it stopped flashing red, so maybe it will work now. No, we still got nothing on here. Alright, so this may not have been the correct capture card choice here. So we are going to reset. Yeah, I'm getting nothing. Somewhere Mike Chi laughs maniacally. Alright, Alright, we are going to try a different capture card. I'm going to run our usual ad here for a moment and be right back.
Do you need stream-safe music for your streams and videos but want something a little heavier? My awesome community sought to solve that and made Backingtrack. Hard rock and heavy metal music safe for your content and free to use. No subscriptions. Head over to backingtrack.gg to stream it or join our Discord for free downloads.
Okay, so I have grabbed two capture cards. One of them is the Pingo HDMI grabber I reviewed a while back. The other is the Live Gamer Extreme 2. We're going to try the Pingo first. Whichever one works, we will just go with here. Ideally, all these should be working, but I'm also unfairly kind of throwing these in the fire of running them while I have OBS already open, which is never a good idea. Just to be clear. Studio mode. We're going to change this capture device over to Pingo HDMI grabber. Alright, we have a screen, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Hyperkin. Play well, live well. Now, again, it is flashing red on the unit itself to dump the ROM. And I assume once it's done, it will boot up. So automatically, kind of minus points here for taking so long to boot, especially since theoretically we already dumped this. Alright, we should be good now. We're still just at a play well, live well screen. I don't know. Oh, here we go. We have liftoff, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Yep. This is still super slow. Dear gosh. Yeah, I have to agree that the Game Boy player, GameCube player is probably a better choice here, even for slightly newbies. Which I remained open to begin with, but holy cow, guys. I wanted to play a game, but it's tomorrow now. That's basically how it is for me playing any games, though, with all consoles requiring updates and controller updates and game updates. Like, I never get to just turn on a system and play a game anymore. Okay, we're just at the, like... Did it freeze? We're just at the... the title, the like text screen for Pokemon. I'm going to deactivate and reactivate the source in case. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it looks like the capture card froze. The save file is corrupted. The previous save will be loaded. That's fine. All right, so this is my wife's account, but it works, and that looks great. This is in 16:9, and honestly, it looks pretty stellar image quality wise. This is obviously the standard like 166x144 or whatever resolution, scaled up to 720p and then scaled up from there to 4K for the YouTube copy. Let's kick it to 4:3. That looks a little bit more aspect ratio correct. And see, I do like this. So points in Hyperkin's corner. This aspect ratio is not 4:3, and that was what I was concerned by that switch, was the Game Boy Advance doesn't really run at 4:3 native. This is the correct ratio. This looks much more correct than I was expecting, so this is pretty neat. Visually, it looks stellar. Yeah, I believe it's like 3:2 or something. Like, this looks great. I'm not getting any sound through my capture card, but it's probably my capture card settings, so I will try to tweak this here real quick. Use custom audio device. Pingo. Hopefully it's just that one, I guess. Yep, there we go. We get sound. Okay. I won't be able to hear it, but you all will be able to hear it. Those colors look like especially bright, but otherwise it looks okay. It does seem a little bright. We're going to put... Nope, that's not the right monitor. I'm going to put full screen preview for me to actually see the game pretty well. Is it capping 60 FPS? It looks it to my eyes. I'm streaming at 30 though, so it's hard for me to tell. You see some shimmering. Honestly, shimmering isn't something I'm super sensitive to. Okay, I can kind of see it in the texture on the house, the little bottom texture there. Does look like a little, does look like a little bit of shimmering, but honestly, like, the scale looks pretty clean to my eyes. There might be a little bit of haloing, but honestly, if you're playing it on the TV, it's fine. And I would say most people are probably not super sensitive to shimmering. I don't even know where I am in this. Whee. Alright, so that works. We're gonna see, hopefully the capture card cooperates now. I may have to deactivate and reactivate it again. We're gonna see how it handles the flash card now. I'm gonna turn it off. It is now off. The capture card is just holding the still image, so I don't think it took as long to load as we thought because the capture card was kind of sitting there waiting. Alright, I've put the Game Boy flash card in. I'm gonna deactivate, reactivate my source. I'm just gonna keep doing that until I see some action after a certain point. Actually, I can probably tell you now. I don't know if it's YouTube's compression, but the video looks better on your Amazon stream. That's bizarre. That doesn't make any sense. I'm streaming 4K super high bitrate on YouTube and streaming 720p-ish, 720p at super low bitrate on Amazon. That was Emerald, by the way. Yeah, so I can already tell you now, the flash card isn't going to work. And we can see that it's not doing anything. Oh, okay, now it's doing something. The flash card isn't going to work due to the nature of how this works. And that's really unfortunate, and I think limits this and makes it kind of a deal breaker given you can't easily find games. But a flash card isn't going to work because it has to dump the ROM from the cart and play that ROM. And you can't do that with the flash cart because you select the ROM from the flash cart. So without directly activating the flash cart and interacting with it, these are not going to work. That is really unfortunate, and I think really hinders this. So far, Hyperkin is not holding up too well. We're going to grab our stack of Game Boy games here. We've got mostly Pokemon. These are cases I made myself from DS cases that support the Game Boy games within them. I had labels printed off sneakily at Staples and then just stuck the games in there. It looks freaking fantastic. We've mostly got Pokemon here. I do want to try a Game Boy Color Pokemon, so we're going to pop in. Whoa, Crystal. This is my childhood Crystal copy with the sticker still on it. Let's see how that boots up. So we're no longer evaluating this as like a real replacement for everyone without the ROM without the ROM flash cart playability, but we can evaluate it from having carts for now. Eventually, people will easily be able to jailbreak it just fine. I don't have any doubt about that, but until they can jailbreak it, you're not going to be able to play most of your ROMs. Now, this always happens, but unless you get an old school flash cart. We are going to try that. I do have a couple custom ROM games, some custom flash games. All right. I believe it's loading. Giving it a second here. Or not. I'm going to get a couple of those games. So I bought these on eBay. I'm sure they didn't actually support the original ROM creator, and that's unfortunate. But I've got a couple Game Boy Advance, at least, custom ROMs. Here we go. Game's loading. Ooh, and the aspect ratio is correct for the Game Boy Color game, too, which is also not 4:3. It's closer to 1:1. And so I am really impressed with this. So this is in the 4:3 mode, which again, I was really concerned because that's not the actual ratio of the console. This appears to be in the correct aspect ratio. If I switch it to 16:9, you get a full screen, which is whatever, I guess. Honestly, for Game Boy games, most people don't notice the difference, and it's fine. But the fact that you get seamless switching here as well, it's basically as if you just plugged it into the Game Boy SP or whatever, and we're using L and R to stretch it out. Like you get, that's an instant response here. That is really nice. We're gonna keep it in the standard aspect ratio for a moment. Of course, there's no save on it. I actually just swapped the battery recently. Of course, unlike a software emulator, you're not gonna get any speed up controls or anything like that, which is unfortunate. Again, once people jailbreak it or something, you know, that's an option, but for now, because I believe you can hook up a keyboard to this and access the RetroArch menu and sort of do some stuff. So like you can put a Game Boy cart in and then try to force it to load a ROM, but getting the ROM to actually load is a problem. So I've only been playing the sound to you all. I'm gonna go ahead and flip it to monitoring and play it to myself and see how the sound feels. Monitor only mute output should do it. And I'm gonna mute my music real quick. This sounds pretty good. I'm not going to say Pokemon music is the the benchmark of music playback. This sounds pretty solid. Yeah. I am liking how this sounds. Okay, so one other issue that we may notice. This may be a deal breaker for some, depending on your use case. This will not save your save files back to the cartridge. This will save your save files to the SD card, which means your save files are basically forever preserved, and if you're playing on this, you'll always have access to them. But if you go and pop this cartridge in a real Game Boy, you probably won't have your save file. That's kind of big deal as well. Someone's asking in the Amazon chat if you're jailbreaking an emulator box to run ROMs for streaming purposes, is it's adding extra steps when MGBA may be an extra experience. Can it at least dump the saves? I believe you have to use, we can pop the memory card in, but I believe the file system isn't accessible on Windows, but you can sort of force it to mount on Linux, and I think you can access it because the RetroArch files are effectively hidden away. Excuse me. In a hidden partition. It can dump the saves, as we saw with the Emerald when I put it in. It did have the save file from the Emerald file dumped here. So that's a win. We'll go ahead and exit my preview. Yeah, because it opens these like millions of partitions that you can't access on Windows because they're all crazy file systems, but you would probably be able to force mount them in a Linux environment. All we get is this queue. Actually, RetroArch is right here. Okay, hold up. So we got cores, which is empty, so that's shady. Okay, So it looks like we're using GBSP and VBA-M as the emulators based on these folder structures, if anyone cares. You can theoretically edit the auto config to do something. Assets, nothing. There's like nothing in here. Record, records, screenshots. This looks like auto-generated stuff and not stuff that the unit itself does. ROM. Hey! All right, and there's your save file. Although that's a shortcut. That's a little weird. Where's that shortcut go? It's a symbolic link. Maybe it's saved on one of the other partitions. Okay, so you can use this as a ROM dumper because that's just the ROM file. You can load this up is... yeah, so it dumps the ROMs natively as far as I can tell. I don't think I have... I don't really have an accessible emulator on this computer right now. My NAS for it is down, but that should just play in a normal emulator as well. And you do have your save file there, so you can port it to a flash card if you want or whatever. That does mean we could... So you could probably jailbreak it to run a ROM if you put the ROM on here and use the RetroArch keys to launch it. So that's worth noting. Okay. So we're going to try another Game Boy Advance game here that isn't Pokemon. These are all Pokemon. Let's do Dragon Ball Z. Which one do we want to do? Taiketsu. And then we've got a couple custom ROMs I want to try as well. Or custom cards. Is that why it's called RetroArch? Okay, I will admit I did not realize it was called RetroArch because it uses Arch Linux, if that's true. Alright. Do you know about game capture on a Mac? I do to a degree. I have a new M1 Mac Mini here I'm using to learn stuff. But, I mean, it's mostly the same as Windows in some regards. Alright, so because it dumps the ROMs to the SD card, it will load faster now. Correct. Alright, so now we're booting a Game Boy Advance game. And keep in mind, some of the slow loading here is due to, again, the image retention on the capture card whenever it switches resolutions or whatever, not necessarily the entirely the slowness of the unit itself. All right, it's dumping the Dragon Ball Z ROM right now. Elgato HD60S connected to a Nintendo Switch through OBS. So the HD60S specifically has a lot of trouble on Mac. It's one of the most notorious, like, Elgato cards for Mac. The OBS team has a huge, like, command for it because you need, like, a special driver from Elgato for Mac and things like that. The HD60S Plus, however, is plug and play on Mac and works fine. The normal HD60S does kind of have some issues. Yeah. All right, so we are loading now, and I will, after we play this game, since it has dumped a separate ROM, we're going to switch back to one of the games that we play so we can see how quickly it loads up the new ROM. I do not like how long this takes to load, but maybe that's just the capture card. No, I'm deactivating and reactivating, and it's not showing up. So there is still a little bit of progress or slowness for it to load the OS. Hello? Yeah, so all the ROM dumping steps are done. Why is it showing this screen again? Any day now. Maybe this device only runs Pokemon games. That seems unlikely. What's a good non-emulating Game Boy and Game Boy Advance player for streaming? I mean, anything that isn't Game Boy hardware is emulating. So you either have the Game Boy player, which is running Game Boy hardware, or you have the Game Boy Advance consoleizer, which is literally Game Boy hardware. Right, it does not seem to like this game. That's not a good sign. It just keeps showing the Hyperkin menu over and over and going to a black screen. Granted, I haven't tested this game in a while, but I'm gonna hit reset. This is not a good sign. Yes, I'm aware it's a black screen on the capture. That's literally what I'm complaining about. Alright, so it does not like that cart. Unplug that. Cart looks completely clean. These have been stored fairly safely overall. We'll try Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku, because now I want to make sure it'll play something other than Pokemon. Alright, Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku 2. Really interesting game that I think kind of exemplifies the original idea that started the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game, actually. Yeah, maybe the Analog Pocket when it comes out, if it ever actually releases. It should have HDMI out capabilities, but currently they're keeping it unobtainium. There's also the, well, not for Game Boy Advance games, but there's the Super Game Boy for the Super Nintendo, which again is running Game Boy hardware. All right, we got the red light. The red light has stopped. We got the Hyperkin screen. Of course, now it went away, so now we're back at a black screen. Maybe it doesn't like anime. Pokemon's anime. This is weird. I'm gonna unplug the HDMI entirely and plug it back in. See what that does. And before Mr. works. Yeah. Well. This is not a good device. I said he had his hopes up for this. I knew that was going to be not a good idea. His thing is a piece of garbage, honestly. Like, if you have patience and this is really what you want and you like the style of it, it might be worth it. This thing is hot trash. Yeah, I'd say if you're streaming, the Game Boy player and GameCube is probably the cheaper way to go. If you purely just want... Pokemon was a game first, don't count. Pokemon was a manga first, followed by a basically simultaneous launch of games and anime. So, no. Yeah, we just have a black screen. Like, Jesus Christ. This is just embarrassing for Hyperkin here. Let's do top cam. Alright, Legacy of Goku didn't work. I know I've played these on the Game Boy player. I've just used these for Game Boy interface. Even though nothing else is working so far. Let us try. Did I put the memory card back in? I did put the memory card back in. Let us try a custom Pokemon ROM card, since Pokemon is all that we've gotten working with it so far. Now again, it does officially state, we are going to try some other Game Boy Color games, I guess, because it does officially state that Game Boy Advance support is in beta. But realistically, people are going to want this more for Game Boy Advance than... How the hell do I open this case? Than Game Boy Color or Game Boy Basic. And it's still listed as supported on the box. People just assume that maybe there's a couple quirks with it. How the freak do I open this case? The button doesn't push in. All right, we're not opening that one. Let's do Pokemon Ash's Quest. See if it'll do a custom ROM. Darn child-proof cases for a children's game. 10 out of 10, we'll keep it on the shelf again. Alright. It is dumping the ROM. I guess I'm going to get out some other Game Boy Color games. Not that I have very many that aren't Pokemon. Alright, we're also going to test it with the Game Boy camera. Just because. Maybe you can use this as a good webcam for the Game Boy camera. What else we got? I know I have a couple. Alright, we've got Mortal Kombat for the Game Boy. We've got Donkey Kong Land or Donkey Land for the Game Boy. And we've got WWF Superstars. We'll try those. It's still dumping the ROM, by the way. They did have a black screen issue with some games on the Retron 5. From a quick Google search, they were telling people to contact support. Why are they why do we need to contact support? Why can't they just release a fix for it? It's still dumping the ROM. It may not like this ROM. Obviously, it's not real, but it should still play it. The flashing light keeps resetting. I don't think it's actually dumping it. Like, it keeps getting interrupted and, like, starting over. None of the others took this long to dump. Yeah. That's a no for the custom ROM cart. Holy crap, guys and gals. I did not expect this. All right. We're going to push it to another limit. We're going to try the Game Boy camera, even though I know it's not going to work because it has to dump the ROM, and therefore it's not going to be able to access the Game Boy camera hardware. I'm just going to try to prove a point. In fact, it's not even trying to dump the ROM from it. What's wild to me is that they didn't implement any sort of menu system to be like, hey, we're dumping the ROM. Hey, we're still loading the ROM. Like, it's just a black screen. So as far as you know, it's just doing nothing. Yeah, it doesn't even try to dump the camera. Damn it. All right. Let's try Mortal Kombat. Something that should be not beta supported. All right, we just get a solid red light. It's not even trying to dump it. We're still not getting a signal. Oh, now it's dumping it. This is amazing. Yeah, the Mad Cat stuff was way better than this. We've got a solid red light, but still no signal on our capture card. I may go grab another capture card at this, or I may try the other capture card at this point, because this is kind of bothering me that it just keeps not showing up. 1280, 720, highest FPS, go. Nothing. Best custom OS. Like, for real. It's not even playing Game Boy games. And there's obviously no HDCP. Like, we saw it working before. I'm going to plug in another capture card too, the Live Gamer Extreme 2. And we're going to see if we get this working in here. Plug it in. Just to give us one more capture card option in case it's the capture card not cooperating somehow. I can't imagine at this point that is really the issue. Nope, because even the Live Gamer Extreme 2 is just getting a black screen. It's not even showing no signal. So it's getting a signal. It's just the signal is a black screen. All right, what if we just plug it into a monitor? What if we just pointed it at a monitor? Plug it into a monitor, rather. I was reading chat. Someone was like, yeah, I'll just point a camera at my Game Boy then. So maybe it's just not working with capture cards. We're getting sound and everything. All right, we're gonna have to like reevaluate a couple of these games. I'm gonna crank the volume up. Not that you'll hear it, but we got Mortal Kombat! Mortal Kombat! I forgot how empty this port was. Hello, start. Oh yeah, they still spelled Raiden with an OY here. Oh my god, this port is terrible. I don't know that I've played this much. It's so slow, and you can barely see what's going on. This is amazing. Oh. Quality gaming here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, get wrecked. Is it displaying at 50 hertz? Let's see. It is, no, it's running 1280 by 720 at 60. Like it should be, with these kinds of emulator boxes, it should be stuck at the proper, like, I mean, not proper for the game, but you know, a standard 60 hertz or whatever. All right, so let's try the custom ROM again, just to see if we get like a menu that shows up. Since apparently it's not cooperating with capture cards. This has been a bizarre experience. Yeah, that's not doing anything. By the way, since it is just dumping the ROM and not accessing hardware, you're not going to be able to use like the Mega memory cards or the Game Sharks. Oh, it's actually loading. I got my classic Game Shark or anything like that, which is also unfortunate. So it's just really slow, and it doesn't output with capture cards, which means for streaming, it's a no-go. And yeah, everyone keeps asking if it's outputting a weird format. As far as I can tell, it's just 720p 60. So, and it worked fine with Pokemon. It doesn't make sense to my brain. I do feel pretty confident in saying that this thing is still a piece of hot garbage and probably not worth buying, though. We block you from streaming games unless it's... Don't these things usually have Game Sharks built in? It's built into the emulator, but they don't give you access to that part of the RetroArch emulator, so... Yes and no? Have you tried the Woozle Consolizer? Yes, I showed that. I have a video on it on my channel. Covered it in depth back in like early 2020 or late 2019. And I will be covering it again soon. Oh, we have the custom flash cart working. Pokemon Ash's Quest. Yeah, I don't need controls. How much should they actually change in this? Probably not much. Hello, I'm Professor Oak. You don't even meet me in 3rd Gen, but I am here regardless. Actually, this is probably a hack of Fire Red, so that's why Oak is here, but that's not the point. Oh my god, the text is so slow. Yeah, this is fire red. Yep. Speed up the text. This is your grandson. His name is Butt. We're gonna call him Kaz. If I get closer, you can see it better. Focus. Let's go. Did they even change anything in this ROM? Oh god, the text at the bottom is like really bizarre. I thought this was supposed to be like a yellow hack. This doesn't look like Pokemon Yellow. What kind of ROM hack doesn't change anything? Alright, whatever. We waited all that time for nothing. We will try one more Game Boy Color game here. Or Game Boy Classic, I guess. WWF Superstars! Which should dump faster, since it's a Game Boy game. Smaller ROM. Appreciate you all hanging out with me in today's stream. I honestly expected this to be, I expected this to be a more... Wow, that dumped really quick. So all of our time spent waiting before was purely the capture card just not wanting to output it for some reason. I really expected this to be a more in-depth video about streaming and stuff, but clearly it's just that broken that I don't know. No limit, brother. Mr. Perfect versus $1 Million Man. Oh, this is way better than Mortal Kombat. Oh, I already got thrown. Okay. Oh, wait. No, that's me doing the throwing. Oh, this is way better than Mortal Kombat. What the hell? Oh, and I'm dead. Oh. How do I get in? Hello? Yeah, I died. Okay. Well, that's gonna be it, guys. This was by far the weirdest stream I've done, including the original stream of AFK Chat that just went so terribly. So, dear gosh. This is Hyperkin Retron Square. The worst product I have ever reviewed on this channel. Period. Just period. This is the worst thing I have ever covered. At least from a streamer's standpoint. Clearly when you plug it into the TV it's a little bit better, but we were trying to cover it from streaming. So, if you are a streamer or content creator, don't even bother. Alright. You've never ordered from Wish. I actually did a stream on Twitch opening fake Pokemon cards from Wish.com, and that was a better experience than this Hyperkin product. Thank you for watching and hanging out with me into this week's AFK Chat. We've got some big videos coming soon. Someone asked if I think Aver Media or Elgato are planning anything. Of course they are. They always are. It's a company. They're always releasing new stuff, and Elgato just released a major update for the Elgato Stream Deck that I'm going to be covering soon. You can also see a Stream Deck box behind me over there. But yeah, in terms of this, I give the Retron Square a 1 out of 5. With the Adam Sessler X-Play reference. All right, thanks so much, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your week. I do have at least a... Oh, I wanted to mention real quick here. I do at least have a video coming on using AI to... If you can hear this, they're coming for me. Hyperkin is coming for me, / the Hyperkin AI. I genuinely have no idea what just happened. If you can hear this, they're coming for me. I have no idea what happened. I was speaking and apparently OBS just crashed in the background, even though I could see it happening real time on my screen. It was still going. I hit to change camera views and just like Stream Deck stopped responding, and then you all started saying in chat that I cut out, even though I was still streaming as far as I can tell. I guess the AI took me down. Anyway, Thursday we have a video. I don't know what the hell just happened. Thursday, we have a video on using AI to upscale VHS captures, which is going to be a lot of fun. Friday, we have a Discord stage event where it's basically like Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces. We're going to have a big event where we talk about how we made the backing track music and all of that. That'll be Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Go join us there. And then I'm hoping to squeeze out a video on the Elgato Stream Deck update tomorrow, but I haven't started it yet. I'm going to actually end the stream now because I have no clue what the hell just happened. See ya. Hey, it worked. Yay.